All right, well, we are officially live and recording here, so continue to add your comments and ideas to chat, and so we'll be taking a look at core practice 2 today, and what we're going to do is starting at 3:20, we're really going to get into what does a core practice 2 look like in our different states. The hope was that we were going to be able to unmute and allow people to come in and out of the conversation. We'll see if that is working. If you are having trouble and can get a pair of earbuds, this would be the time to do so, because it really will allow us to have a better conversation if we don't have that background noise. We're going to take a look first at our successes and our needs with regards to core practice 2 in designing and carrying out interpersonal communication. Then we'll move into the reflecting on Dr. Helena Curtin's ideas, and we're going to add our ideas to the Google Doc that I sent you. If you have ideas that you'd like to try out, if you have questions, resources, all of those can be added to the Google Doc. The other thing that would be really helpful for this conversation is if each of us can go in and make comments on somebody else's idea. So in other words, you think that it's an interesting application or an instructional strategy. So then your question is, how could you, be able to try this with a novice level or with an intermediate level student? So feel free to comment on other people's ideas. And then we'll go into the peer collaboration portion afterwards. So without any further ado, I am going to unmute, and I'm going to see if we can get a variety of comments to find out where do we think we're at right now with regards to core practice 2. What are the celebrations that we're seeing at the novice, intermediate, and advanced levels? And what are the needs that we're seeing with our teachers or in our districts or within our states? So if I could, I'm going to go ahead and unmute and see if. Okay. So would somebody like to start by sharing some celebrations or needs with regards to designing and carrying out interpersonal communication?
Well, I'll speak in the silence. This is Helena.
Hi, Helena.
I think it's the most challenging of the communication modes, and I'm really happy that it's core practice number 2. Is my voice coming through clearly?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
It's great.
Yeah. And somebody wrote to me that my hair looked pretty good, so thank you, whoever that was. You saw me checking my hair.
Okay, so Yasuo, would you like to jump in and share your ideas? What are some of the celebrations or what are some of the needs that you're seeing with regards to interpersonal communication teaching Japanese?
Teaching Japanese, okay. Like sometimes, so I'm involved in articulation projects, and in some classes, teachers don't have really interaction. Like it's not for communication, but like students just repeating things and so on. So I see a big problem, like some teachers have, how to make it more interactive and more communicative and so on.
So you're seeing lots of repetition, not authentic interpersonal communication.
Right.
Okay.
More scripted.
Scripted, yes.
Christy, did you want to jump in?
Well, I'm just saying I'm having a difficulty having teachers understand that something scripted is not really negotiating meaning, and I think that's what he was getting at. So any ways that we can help teachers understand and understand ourselves about that interpersonal, what it really is that negotiation of meaning, and how to teach teachers to create those kinds of tasks, that it's a meaningful task.
And I would add that especially just getting them to understand that spontaneous speech, when they are negotiating meaning. I think sometimes, again, yes, like both of you have said, it's, they see it as, okay, we're going to do interpersonal, and especially at the lower levels, get the kids to write a script and then sort of memorize it, practice, and I'm always bringing home, samples of the spontaneity in this.
Well, if you think about in terms of real life communication, real life doesn't have a script. So why, I mean, kids aren't going to be able to say, like, when they do a scripted thing and somebody reacts in a way that they don't expect, how are they going to circumlocute and think on their feet?
Are any of you seeing that there are certain areas where there are successes? Are you seeing more authentic negotiation of meeting at the advanced level versus the novice? Are there any areas where we're seeing, basically some real successes with regards to carrying out the interpersonal communication? That silence could mean that this is an area that we have lots of needs with regards to core practice 2. All right, well that's good for Helena to hear going into this. Were there any specific strategies that you have tried in your district? When we delved into core practice 1 with Todd Bowen last month, we found that there were certain strategies that were helping to move teachers and leaders further towards the use of target language in the classroom by both students and teachers. Are there any strategies that you feel are helping to move teachers or districts forward with regards to designing these interpersonal tasks?
In terms of strategies, I'll just say one of the things my entire district here in Connecticut and Southern Connecticut, we're working on for one of our SLOs. The teachers are working on precisely interpersonal communication. And we're spending a lot of time on scaffolding. So especially at the lower levels, I was just in what we call a 29, which is an honors second-year Spanish class yesterday, and the teacher had reviewed some vocabulary with stem-changing verbs and reflexive verbs with the students via a presentation, some slides. So that was great. Then she put them into groups, and she wanted them to just speak about their own daily routines. And without any kind of cueing or prompts, she had them do a first round, then she wanted them to do a second round. And, the suggestion both she and I came up with after was that perhaps, having you just picture cards in front of them to help prompt them to continue, to try to make those questions and ask one another. So, that scaffolding is something that I'm working on with teachers at the lower levels.
We talked extensively about scaffolding when Todd Bowen was on the line with us last month, and it seems like those strategies, having those in place for teachers and having a bank of scaffolding strategies available for teachers, that seems to be a really effective way to help people build this into their practice. We also have a couple of new teachers who are actually teachers in training at SCSU. Michelle Martino is starting her teaching, student teaching, next month. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, do you feel that you're prepared with those scaffolding strategies to go in and actually design and carry out these activities?
I think I'm really well prepared. Dr. Dombrowski's doing a great job. One of the biggest things I've gotten out of her class is modeling everything for students, and right now I'm teaching a 3rd grade class at Wintergreen Magnet School in Hamden, and the students really need that modeling. They need to see exactly what's expected of them.
That's great. That's great. Wonderful. Do we have any other? Erin is on the line from Michigan, and she just did some presentations at the Michigan State Conference with regards to the 6 core practices. Did you want to jump in, Erin, and share strategy that you're seeing in Michigan?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me now? I've tried speaking a couple times. Oh,
perfect.
Can you guys hear me?
Perfect.
Oh, good. Okay, I just had to log out and log in because it didn't seem like it was working. Yeah, so I hope I didn't miss something when I logged out, but you were asking about interpersonal tasks and if people are having successes, and I teach in a middle school, and in our school we've started using, similar to Eileen Glisson's idea, when our students do interpersonal tasks where they're communicating about something, what they like to do or something, we started using these little strips. So we call them rubric strips for feedback on a specific area of speaking, and we're finding that it's having a huge impact on how much our kids are speaking in the target language and how they're trying to pay attention to certain areas of their speaking. So like if you normally would give a speaking test and you would grade them based on the actual interpersonal thing, on comprehensibility, and you'd also score them on language control, and you'd score them on fluency and stuff. We just cut that rubric into strips, and so we say one day, okay, everyone, we're scoring you on comprehensibility, you know, 0 points to 3 points, and we model it. Here's what it should look like. And so we're walking around and listening and marking on our sheet, and maybe we just mark 10 kids in a day. And you know, the next time we do a speaking activity the next day, then we mark another 10 kids or whatever. But just having that accountability and the focus on a specific area, we're seeing way more kids talking the target language. And even when we're not doing those activities, that they're using the language a lot more. It's been really encouraging.
Oh, that's exciting. I don't know if you were on the call when we talked about, we're going to divide the meeting into 3 parts of think, reflect, and share. Erin, if you're open to sharing that, maybe you could add a link to that resource into the Google Doc at the end, because that would be a great thing for us to kind of look at and see how you're doing it. And then if people had questions about that idea, then again, you could go into the Google Doc at the end in the reflection portion and be able to make comments or ask something specific to Erin. That would be great, Erin. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
And so we also have Dawn Carney. Are you still on the line, Dawn?
There you are. Can you hear me now?
Great, we can hear you perfectly. Yes. So Dawn is with MAFLA. She would be a person for us to reach out to with regards to the seal of biliteracy. I know that came up at the beginning of the meeting, and they actually had Bill Rivers come and speak on their behalf, which was great. So Dawn, if you could just share, did you want to share any successes or needs with regards to the interpersonal communication that you're seeing in Massachusetts?
I'm really participating in this more as my school district.
Okay.
So what I can talk about are successes are the middle grades. I think teachers have a much better understanding about really how to apply this, although I love Erin's idea about the rubric strips. That is just brilliant. And I think what is our greatest challenge is in the younger grades of K through 2, having folks understand how to design something open-ended and what we can expect from students, and absolutely making that leap for grades 3 through 5, that it's not solely about being scripted, as somebody mentioned before, but it's about real life is no script, which is somebody also said. So what kind of real life activities do we feel comfortable providing to these students, knowing that they only have this very limited basket of language and they're not yet at the sentence level, but we want to get them there.
Great. And I think Helena's, one of Helena's big points that she's going to get into is the fact that once you can do it with the novice level learner, you can do it with any level learner. And so, right. So I think that will be, that's a great jumping off point for our conversation. We also have Karen on the line, who is from Connecticut as well. Karen, did you want to share either concerns or celebrations? Some people don't have their webcam on as well, so if you want to turn on your webcam, it's the second green button. I'm not sure if Karen, it says that you have audio access, but maybe you're not in there. Corey, you're on now. Great to see you. And keep in mind that I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat bar as well. So I'm seeing that people are posting issues and needs in there as well. So make sure that you add that. So Karen, can you hear us all right? Yes, she can hear us and she has no audio. Okay, so I think without any further ado, I'd like to switch over now to allow Helena to start speaking, because as Helena and I have been preparing over the past week for today, I think it was good for us to share some of the things that we think are working and some of the things that we think are struggles for us, because I think that really helps to inform her presentation for us today. So Helena, when you're ready, I'm going to make you the presenter. And I just want to make sure that everybody else has their microphones in so that there's not background noise for Helena. And so I will make you the presenter here and allow you to start your presentation when you feel ready.
Okay. I am going to speak for 30 minutes. Is that correct, Leah?
That's perfect, Helena.
Okay. And you've been made the presenter. Okay, show my screen. So let me make sure that you can see there we go. Is that visible to everyone?
Yes. So you're not full screen yet?
Yes.
Okay. Now you are. Great.
Okay. Well, hi, everyone.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite topics. I'm really happy to be with you today. And I want to talk about Core Practice 2. And thank goodness that target language was Core Practice 1. And thank goodness that interpersonal communication was Core Practice 2. So important. How did that switch? I do not know, but we're going to move that right back. I put together a lot of ideas. Oh dear. I put together a lot of ideas on this topic, and so we'll just barely be able to touch on the surface of some of them. And I'm hoping that in the discussion section we can clarify some things that I may have gone over pretty quickly. Okay, let's go. And my central idea is that
Sorry.
Okay, my central idea is that participants will understand.
Helena, I'm going to mute everyone. Okay. Okay, so I've muted everyone except for Helena.
I'm unmuted now.
Okay,
okay, great. Captive audience, everyone. So if this were a real live workshop, I would ask you to read to your partner the central idea. Participants will understand that in order to build proficiency, students must talk to each other using interpersonal communication. So we are talking about building proficiency, or we're talking about performances building toward proficiency. And the focus question that I'd like to answer is what kinds of tasks and strategies are part of interpersonal communication? And I've got some can-do statements. I'm feeling like it's an important piece of everything I do. So what will you be able to do by the end of this 30 minutes? I think you'll be able to identify considerations related to interpersonal communication, some of which have already been raised, and identify some strategies for developing interpersonal communication. So those are my goals for you. And let's take a look at interpersonal. And of course, it's based on the standards. And go very quickly over that, looking at the communication standard and the 3 modes that are part of the communication standard. But let's take a quick lens look at interpersonal communication. Learners interact and negotiate meaning in spoken, signed, or written conversations to share information, reactions, feelings, opinions. I'm focusing mostly on spoken communication. There we go. We have a little, that was my telephone. I actually have a real landline. So I'm going to focus mostly on spoken communication, maybe a little few comments about written communication. And just a reminder that of the modes, interpersonal is the 2-way. And when I work with teachers to try to help them understand about the different modes, talking about, you know, the 2 skills going out, presentational, that's 2 skills coming in, interpretive, and then the interpersonal, which is the 2-way spontaneous communication. And I think that this one is the most challenging. Because spontaneous interaction, especially at the novice level, and especially trying to find things that are close to real life, is difficult. The little comment I want to make about interpersonal writing is that I'm thinking that it's sending text messages, sending an email, writing a short little note, but not much more than that. And we can talk about that later after my presentation is finished. I like this slide. I don't know where I got it from. Maybe it comes from ACTFL, but what I like about it is that sometimes you're not sure. Is this presentational or is it interpretive? And I like the idea that there's this overlap here. Is this presentational or is this interpersonal? Because the one leads into the other, and they all sort of meld into each other. And I think that's really helpful. So I was doing a little research, and I found this interesting point about interpersonal versus impersonal. And I think we're kind of bordering on the impersonal in some of the tasks that I'm going to be talking about. But the idea of obtaining information is transactional and more impersonal, and the idea of being interactional, establishing and maintaining a relationship is closer to what real interpersonal communication is. So interpersonal, communicating with someone you care about, a true dialogue, versus impersonal, communicating with someone whom you have no relationship with, or a mechanical interaction rather than sharing feelings. Now this comes from psychology, but I thought it was interesting because often I think we're more in the impersonal area, especially at the novice level, although of course we can ask kids their opinion, do you like, don't you like it, even we can ask them why. But you'll see that some of the tasks that I'm going to share with you, some of the samples tend to be more in that impersonal box. I just thought that was interesting information that you might like to see. And I just wanted to get into assessment right away, and look at here, here's an observational checklist, and I think one of the major ways that we, almost the major way that we assess is through observation. And look at this very complicated checklist. I don't know now where I got it from. I love that idea of the rubric strips. I think that that could be so helpful. And another way of observing kids with an interpersonal assessment is the sticky note assessment, where the teacher writes the name of a student and puts it on.
Helena, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I think something might be off with your mic. Just move your mic for a second. It's just making a funny noise.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is that better?
Or maybe just, you want to take them out and just talk into the microphone?
So is it okay?
That's better. Yep. That's perfect.
Better?
Yeah, perfect. Super clear.
Oh dear. Guess what? PowerPoint just closed. So
okay.
Let me open it up again.
Yep, no worries.
What, you can just see my face now.
Yeah. And your hair looks lovely. So, you know, we're good.
You know, with the light coming in from the back, it's okay, let's go. Let's go back here.
Yeah, sorry about that. There must have been some sort of feedback. Now we can see how busy you are in between leading the teachers in Japan and coming back to Milwaukee to lead the rest of us back in the States.
Oh, thank you. I think we're all equally busy. I think we're all busy in our own way. Okay, let's see. View. There we go. There we go. Right back to where we were. Can you all? Oh, sorry. It went right back to the main slide. So let me just quickly go back to where we were. I was just giving a very quick talk about assessing by Post-it note, writing little notes. I learned from one of our wonderful Wisconsin teachers. She uses pink and green and yellow Post-it notes to give the idea, the green meaning it's good to go, the yellow meaning it's in between, and the pink standing for no, not there yet at all. And for whatever the task is, writing the kid's name on one of those Post-it notes with maybe some comments so that the teacher does have some way of keeping track. And of course, if teachers are doing this, they're not doing all 30 kids at once. There might be 10 in a day. Or for teachers that have 500 or 600 students, I'm thinking of FLES teachers, how often this would happen certainly wouldn't be on a daily basis. I've got this from that wonderful blog, the Creative Language class, and talking about getting kids ready for an interview. And this is where we get into novice versus intermediate, because I'm thinking that with novice students, the interview is usually with the teacher. And with intermediate students, we can get the students talking to each other. And with novice, that's pretty hard. So one of the scaffolding strategies is, of course, that kids have to know how to maintain a conversation. And I just put 3 very simple ideas here. I don't understand. Can you repeat that, please? And I agree or I don't agree. Just some very simple ideas so that it'd be interesting so that kids have something that they can say to each other. Be interesting to look at your previous work on the target language with Todd Bowen to see some more of those scaffolding strategies. Mm-hmm. I'm going very fast. Am I going too fast?
No, this is great.
No, okay. So, of course, at the intermediate level, the teacher can observe 2 students talking to each other. One of the suggestions that I found on LangChat was that the teacher could listen to a student recording and give students a scenario with a voice recorder and maybe not tell them ahead of time who their partner is going to be until the very last minute. But I think that is an awful huge amount of time that the teacher would have to take to listen to all of those recordings. Mm-hmm. And what would be some sample conversations that kids could have with each other? Give each other directions for doing something and asking questions about how to do it, and role play some kind of a real world task, such as ordering a meal at a very simple level. And here is a rubric that actually comes from Jefferson County, and the teachers were putting check marks for each of the comments that the students made, and they then gave the student a grade based on that comment. Again, that idea of the rubric strips sounds super. This is something from New Berlin High School. Oh my. Oh, I know what's happening. I'm putting my fingers on my, I'm so sorry. Putting my fingers on my trackpad by mistake. This is interesting. I just wanted to get into grading for a second, and I kind of liked what I saw here. This is their grading system: 30% interpretive, 30% presentational, 30% interpersonal. And the 10% benchmarks is just vocabulary, quizzes, things like that. I thought this was great. And it's something that I know that many districts are doing. Maybe some of you are doing the same thing. Okay, let's go on to some strategies. And let's start with how do you get kids into interpersonal communication in the first place? And obviously, there's some very simple ways: counting off, adding 7 digits of a phone number, birth month or day, many, many, many. And actually, I would be happy to post this PowerPoint somewhere, and also to post some corresponding lists of information that are much deeper than what I'm showing here on the slides. So we can talk about that later.
Helena, that's really helpful, because that's what people are saying in the chat box. They were just wondering if you're willing to share the presentation.
Absolutely.
Afterwards.
Absolutely.
So that's fabulous. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. And this is my absolute favorite partner activity of getting kids into groups, partners around the clock, because that way you've got 12 partners, and it's just an amazing. You can say, go to your 2 o'clock partner and do a short task or a long task, go to your 5 o'clock partner. And the other nice thing about it is that kids will go to their friends for the first few partners, but if there's 12 partners, they're going to run out of friends. Huh. And they'll be talking to people in the class that they might not normally have talked to. And obviously that could also be partners around the world. It could be partners around the USA. And this one is actually, notice that's in Wisconsin up here. The one at the top. I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're all smiling, I hope. Here's partners around the plaza, partners around Japan, and so on. The idea being that it doesn't have to be partners around the clock, and after you use one of these for a month or for 2 months, because you want to use it for a while, because it takes a lot of trouble to get all the kids signed up for such an activity. It's a wonderful way to get kids talking to each other. Here's one in Russian, and instead of a clock, it's an appointment book. Okay, let's go on to something that I have just discovered and I think is absolutely out of this world. Look at this. This is a student grouping pencils, and I found it in the Learning Resources catalog, but she mentioned I just came back from Japan and I saw a teacher using these and I was flabbergasted. Maybe some of you know these, but you can organize kids by number, by color, by symbol, and what an amazing way to quickly get kids organized and reorganized into groups. So it's $12.95, Learning Resources Catalog. I just wanted to quickly talk about managing student behavior, because sometimes when I work with teachers, they say, oh, I can't possibly have kids working in partners because they are going to speak English, or they are going to misbehave, or they're not going to do the task. And don't you love this picture here? The thing that happens in some elementary school classrooms. Anyway, managing student behavior is not a language issue. It's a management issue. And so we can't say, or we can't have teachers say, oh, I can't do this. It doesn't work in my class. It has to work because it is a powerful technique. So again, this has to do with with class management, not with any kind of issue about language teaching. So, oh, here we are. It's really not a language issue. It's an issue of what are the rules that you've set in your class. And of course, one of the rules is when we do partner activities, we speak the target language. And let's just take a look at 3 kinds of small group and partner activities. Excuse the typo there. I've been working a lot with partner activities, and I've been trying to figure out some kind of a way to organize them or categorize them. And so here's what I've thought of. The first one is just simply informal pairs, and it's simply the teacher telling the kids to say something to their partner. The teacher telling someone to say something to their partner. And it could be like, tell your partner, good morning, or sag zu deinem Partner, guten Morgen, Partner. Sag zu deinem Partner, Partner, du bist intelligent, with the teacher pointing to the head, and so on. Or the teacher is simply telling the kids to say something, or tell your partner, open your book to page such and such, but of course all this in the target language. Or tell your partner, excuse me, tell your partner, we have 5 minutes to go, and so on. So basically the teacher telling the students to say something to each other, and it feels more social when the kids are saying it to each other. And the second one is, of course, pairs and groups working together, and this is usually some kind of open-ended task. And the danger with this kind of task is that, of course, one student could be doing all the work, and that may be a problem. And the third kind is open-ended, and students work together to complete a task or to solve a problem. And the task is some kind of a conversation. Forgive me, I've just messed up my slides again here. So it's some kind of an unstructured conversation. So here you see in the pictures, you see kids working together in an unstructured way. Okay, and here's numbered heads together. Many of you may know this activity. And basically kids are working in a group, and the teacher gives a number to each person in the group, and that person the number that's called has to actually give the answer. So let's take a look at the third one, and this is interactive or transactional tasks like jigsaw or information gap. And you see 2 kids there playing a barrier game. Each of them has hidden the teddy bear in a certain picture, and they have to talk to each other, find out where that teddy bear is hidden. So the idea of jigsaw just means that various people have parts of the information, and they have to talk to each other. I realize that my slides are advancing on their own. I built this PowerPoint on another one, and I apologize for this happening. I didn't realize that that would happen. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about information gap, because it's the most powerful. And I've organized myself around these different kinds of information gap activities. Excuse me? Interviewing and surveying, finding and giving information, following and giving directions, solving problems, and various combinations and possibly other ways. So let's talk a little bit about interviewing and surveying. And interviewing is one of my favorites. And let's look at novice to advanced. So describe your living room. Obviously novice. Draw something about you in each of 4 squares on a piece of paper. Novice. Describe the person next to you. Novice. Do you believe in ghosts? At least intermediate. What change would you like to make in your life? Describe a fantasy. Describe a person you admire and why. You can see how interviews can be at any level and can be very rather structured, like describe your living room, or very open-ended. And once you get to the topic of favorite, you can go on forever. And of course, you can move from novice to intermediate to advanced. And here is a interview which I really like because it's content related, but of course, instead of representing a planet, for example, I could be Earth and my partner could be Mercury, and we have to interview each other to find out which planet we are. But of course, I could be a character in a novel, I could be a character in a play, I could be a certain animal, I could be whatever in terms of the interview. And so I'm actually looking at some of these questions and I'm thinking they're not worded very well. I'm looking at number 4. Number 5, do you have any moons? Number 6, do you have any rings? Number 7, how long is your day? And so on. So that once you get all this information, you are gathering the information and you are finding needed information. So here's an interview with planets. Here's an interview that is scaffolded in a wonderful way. This is from Nick Staffa, a Chinese teacher from Memphis City Schools. And so look how wonderfully he scaffolded how they could interview each other. Number 1, what's your name? Number 2, I can figure it out. How are you feeling? Excuse me, that's number 3. Number 4, where do you live, in a house or an apartment, and so on. And number 5, who are the members in your family? So beautifully scaffolded. And this is the kind of thing that, of course, we have to do with kids who have very little language, and especially kids in elementary school. But I also see this happening with kids in grade 9 who are at the novice level. So there it is. There's the Chinese. And here's a survey. So the interview was 2 people talking to each other and finding information. And here's a survey. So I'm going around and I'm asking, what's in your dumpling? What's in your dumpling? And putting check marks in the boxes. And maybe then making a graph at the end of it for what was the most favorite ingredients, or what were the most favorite ingredients in the dumplings. 3-step interview is, of course, the idea that kids interview each other. And starting with a group of 4, and 2 students interview each other, then they exchange and interview each other, and then they share the information among all of them. So lots of ways to get extended discourse and to get more language going. Okay, next kind is finding or giving information. And this is probably also as common as interviewing and surveying. I'm only going to talk about these first 2. I'm not going to talk about the other 3. That would be a whole other day, I think. But find someone. We've all played find someone at workshops. Find someone who has a red pen in their pocket. Find someone who's been to France, and so on. But this is find someone that's organized according to in your classroom. And here's the same planet activity, but this time instead it's find someone who's larger than you are. Find someone, again, I'm Mercury and you are, let's say you're Jupiter. So find a planet that's larger than you are, that's smaller than you are, that's farther from the sun. This actually requires a lot of language. This is not a novice level activity because of the way that it's organized, but it could be organized very simply with the questions that are at the bottom of the page. Find someone, I'm a zebra and you're a tiger, and we have to figure out who we are. And here we go to jigsaw. This jigsaw is so wonderful because it can be any piece of information, or any pieces of information can be divided into 4 parts, into 3 parts, into 2 parts. And so this here is 4 strips of paper, and student A does not see the strip that student B, C, or D has, and they each have to take turns reading number 1 and reading number 2 and reading number 3 and so on. And they have to figure out together what is the animal that is being talked about in the jigsaw. And of course, this is a very basic novice level jigsaw, but of course, this could be a paragraph from a novel that you're reading. It can be done at any level. So let's say if I only have 3 students in a group, of course, 2 students could each have their own strip, and 1 student has to take 2 strips. Or if I only have a pair, then one student has student A and B, and the other student has C and D. So it's pretty flexible. Here's how it works. So student A, it has stripes. Student B, it's an African mammal. Student C, it lives in herds. And student D, it ends in A. Okay, everybody, what is it? I assume you said zebra. And the others are, it's a leopard and it's a giraffe. And again, the idea of jigsaw, so simple. The other finding and giving information activity that I am just crazy about and that I've been using for 20 years at least, hiding a manipulative. And you can see there's some little teddy bear counters here. They're used by kindergarten and grade 1 teachers for mathematical counters, and I find them very useful for hiding something to practice vocabulary, but practice it within a sentence. And I heard some of you talking before about sentences, and that's the whole point. One of the issues with FLES programs is that we tend to speak at the word level, and we always have to put those words in a sentence, so that even though it's a memorized chunk and it's a memorized sentence, it's still a sentence. So rather than saying zebra, I'm going to say it's a zebra, or the zebra is black and white, or I see a zebra, or I have a zebra, but I'm going to put it in a chunk. And the other thing when I'm using these chunks is I'm going to build them together so that I can already start at the novice level to build toward intermediate. I like the zebra and the giraffe and the tiger, but I don't like the skunk. So even at that very basic early level, at novice mid or even novice low, getting them to say things like and, but. So any of you that have been in my workshop have seen this, and this is the house where the teddy bear lives. And partner A and partner B have to secretly hide the teddy bear in one of the rooms of the house, and they have to ask each other, is your teddy bear in the whatever, and answer yes or no. And if they find the teddy bear right away, they hide it again. So it's a way of practicing vocabulary, but using sentences to practice language. And so here we've got the teddy bear hiding in a cultural place. He's in Berlin. And here he is hiding in a content-related place. He's in the middle layer of the rainforest. And here he is, immersion teachers would like this. He's hiding in the water cycle. Okay, so you can see how useful this could be. Here he is hiding in a Velázquez painting. I have some friends who teach here in Wisconsin, Spanish teachers, who've done a whole unit based on this wonderful Velázquez painting, Las Meninas. And here he is hiding in a USA painting. Here he is in a Colombian painting with one of my favorite artists, and so on and so on. So the idea of hiding the teddy bear and practicing whatever vocabulary you need to practice within the context of an information gap. And so that information gap is motivating because kids want to know, where is that bear? And Piaget talks about the idea of disequilibrium and our quest to know the answer. And these kinds of activities certainly fit. Of course, you can hide the bear anywhere. And here he is again in Wisconsin. Another way of creating an information gap is simply taking two pictures and making slight differences in the pictures. I think you can see where I whited out. This didn't turn out so well, but it's just so you can see the technique. I just took two pictures and used my great talent with a bottle of whiteout and changed some of it so that the students are forced to talk with each other. Now, this is simply I see, but obviously if you showed them this whole picture at once, this could take a long, long time to talk about. And you might only start with one room at a time. Here's a very simple one. Here's two Chinese families and just some very simple differences between the two pictures. And the kids have to talk about the pictures and talk about what's different. Here's a very complex one. This comes out of a book about the Mayans and corn. And so again, that idea that I've shown you some very, very simple activities, but any of these can be ratcheted up to be intermediate and ratcheted up to be advanced. And I think that creating structures like this helps kids communicate interpersonally because it motivates them. There we are. We're back to those student grouping pencils. And below there you see the teddy bear counters. And I also thought that I didn't realize that these wonderful homemade whiteboard possibilities exist where you can put your partner activity or your group activity inside here and kids can write on it with a dry erase pen and you can use the activity over and over. You don't have to keep creating them again and again. So I thought these were great to show you to get a little bit practical here. And I went awfully fast, but I think I covered some ideas that we certainly want to talk about. So I want to end with interpersonal communication, core practice number 2, and building on proficiency, and talking about some kinds of strategies that can help toward interpersonal communication. And so now, do you think you can identify considerations related to interpersonal communication? I know you're all going to say, yes. Can you identify some strategies for developing interpersonal communications? And of course, I hope you're all going to say yes. So this has been fun. My phone rang. My husband came in. I had to give him a sign to say, please be quiet. And it's time now to go back to all of us, back to all of you, and have a conversation. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation and continuing this dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helena. You gave us so many great strategies, and I know as you're talking, you weren't looking at the chat box, but everybody keeps... No,
because I couldn't see it because I'm on full screen.
Full screen, yeah. So, and now you're probably going to be able to see in here that when we switch back over to making me the presenter, that you'll see all kinds of great comments and feedback from everybody as you're speaking. So thank you. So Helena was only supposed to come on for a half hour, and it was you actually came on early and now agreed to stay on and help us facilitate some of the peer collaboration. So that's wonderful. If you don't mind doing that.
I'd love to, because obviously this is one of my favorite topics.
And we're thrilled to have you stay on. So thank you. Todd Bowen did have somebody knocking on the glass window right as he spoke at the beginning of his presentation last time. And the irony was that it was a kid coming for ad drop. and it wasn't even add, it was drop. So at least you didn't have to have that to deal with at the beginning of your call here. So
well, I got 2 phone calls and and my husband coming in, but thank God he didn't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
well, okay. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna switch back over, Helena, and I'll become the presenter, and
okay.
and so I'm gonna show you my screen, and at the risk of having some feedback, I'm going to unmute everybody here as well. So let me just switch over here, and then I'll unmute everybody. But I just wanted to show you 2 screens that we're gonna have open. One is the agenda from today. So the agenda was up top, and we talked about how we were going to do at the beginning of the meeting the protocol of think, reflect, and share. And so you can see on my screen here that this is the protocol that we're going with. And so now we're at the part where we're going to actually stop and reflect. I think one of the key things that we've all found from these multiple conferences that we go to is that if we don't stop to capture a few questions, ideas, or resources, it becomes more challenging to actually implement the ideas when we move forward, either in our own classrooms or with other teachers. So if you look at the second page, it's an open Google Doc. Anybody who has this link can add to it. So, so as you can see, there are 21 of us on the call right now, and you'll see that there are 2 sides to this. During this portion, you can take time to share an idea or an application of something that Helena just shared with you. But it would also be great if you had time to add to the responses and comments. So we're actually going to stop talking for a few minutes and allow you to talk, to think, and add some ideas here. As you can see, we don't know who's adding any of these ideas. And then what Elena agreed to do is that she would stay on and be able to address some of these questions, ideas, or comments that you make, which is just great for us, Helena, because maybe we can kind of refine the ideas that we think that we're hearing from you. So if everybody,
can I just make a comment?
Sure.
Think about it. Here it is on an afternoon, and what are we doing? We are all doing what we love best and what we're passionate about.
Yeah, it's really great.
It's really, I'm amazed that there's so many of us here.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And this is my first sort of webinar, so this was really fun. So thank you.
Well, thank you for you are the first person that we are doing an official go-to meeting with, because Connecticut Colt just purchased this software for our organization. So you are our first guinea pig, Helena. So, and you did a fabulous job. So thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just unmute for a moment here, because I want to see if anybody has any questions before you add to your ideas here. So let me unmute all of these folks. Okay. Okay, so as long as there's no feedback, I will keep that open here. And did anybody want to jump in and make a comment or a question for Helena before you do your addition to this Google Doc? I see that people are asking how to access the Google Doc. In the email that I sent you, there were 2 links. One is to an open Google Doc, and one was to the GoToMeeting link to launch this. So if you don't have it yet, please go in there to that email. Did anybody have any other questions? Corey, I see you talking, but I don't hear you. So let's see if your audio is off here.
Can you hear me
now?
Now
I hear you. Yep. Go right ahead.
Alrighty. This is a little off to the side of this discussion, but I think related. One of the many ways we have students speak is we've tried modeling some of our interpersonal tasks, trying to model them after the AP exam, the portion where it gives the student a prompt, talk about such and such, and I guess the model person says something, and then the right-hand column says, respond and ask a question back. And then the prompt makes another comment or says something, and then to the right it might say, respond negatively and make a comment back, something like that. It's a particular format to try to prepare them for the AP exam. And I wonder if you consider that interpersonal speaking or if it's something else.
You know what? That is a really good question, because I had made myself a note and I forgot to say it. But I have something I'm calling fake interpersonal. Okay? Because some, in the sense of these structured activities I showed you are so structured, you know, that, you know, getting information back and forth, it's not, it's, you know, fake spontaneous. And the only spontaneous piece of it is that you don't know the answer. So I think that AP fits in that category. It's more interpersonal than anything, okay? But it's a sort of manipulated or a fake interpersonal, if you want to use what I've been calling it, because it's hard. It's hard to, you know, to categorize them. But I think it's a scaffold, I think, and I would do it. I would use it. So it's as close as you can get.
All right, thank you. I just
like that term, fake personal.
And I think it's accurate. And I do think that some of the activities that you've labeled as that you provided, there's an element of that, but I do think they're actually freer than some of the things we have the AP students do. So fake, but maybe there's even gradations of that. But thank you for your response.
Well, for me, what was really helpful was this idea of more mechanical kinds of things. And the aim is, of course, that eventually they're going to be able to say what's in their heart. But we have to build them to that point. And until we get them to that point, and we can at the very beginning with I like and I don't like, or but, you know, the more we do of these things, the more they'll be able to speak with what's on their hearts. I forgot to say something else.
Yes,
about
go ahead.
Forgot to say something else. You know, this is a grammatical building block. Partner activities and group structured, not so much open-ended ones. They're good practice, but structured partner activities are grammatical building blocks. Because if, let's say, even just a lineup where you are or an inside-outside circles, where you're saying the same thing, but you're saying it to each different person. Do you like da 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 da? I don't like da 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 da. I would like to go da da da. You know, you're just saying it over and over and over, and by the time you said it so many times, it builds a grammatical foundation, and it builds toward automaticity. So the more of these structured activities that are information gap activities, the more we can get that build toward build a grammatical foundation. So the grammar feels right rather than just knowing the rule, because I've said it so many times.
That's a great suggestion. I'm going to just, in the interest of time, I'm going to let everybody just type for about 3 or 4 minutes. If this is a chance, I know some of you have been on since 20 to 3. If you need to run and get a water for a second, then this is the time to go grab that. Helena is going to read through some of these comments, and then she's going to be able to give us some insight with regards to some responses and comments. Feel free to go to that right column. And then the other thing that I wanted to address your attention to is that here is Helena Curtin is at Helena Curtin. And if you wanted to copy and post, this is a bonus. You get extra credit if you post to Twitter. At CTLILL is this group, and at Helena Curtin is your wonderful presenter. So so if everybody could just take about 3 minutes or so just to add either comments or ideas or resources. Some of you have added links at this point too. So this is a great time to add those links. So we'll just give it a few minutes, and that way Helena can just reflect on what she's seeing in that Google Doc with all the ideas here. So any questions before we go to that? Yeah.
Yes, and of course we can all respond also, right?
Yes, everybody.
I can respond.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's just take about 3 minutes now, and then we'll finish up our conversation. I'll just mute everybody so that we don't have background. Thanks.
Oh.
Okay, it's 4:15, and
Ready?
in the interest of
Okay.
time, we're going to take 10 minutes to just share some of these ideas. It seems like we could keep going for another half hour. This is just fabulous. I mean, I almost feel like this is our first time doing this protocol, and um, my husband is a director of technology, and he kept saying, I'm not so sure this is going to work out with one Google Doc and all these people from all over trying to talk over each other. But everybody is unmuted now. I don't hear any background noise. So if you want to jump in, uh, I think that there's such great value in this last portion, because now we all have taken a few moments to do exactly what we ask our students to do. This is basically our exit slip. We're taking a few minutes to each process what we're going to do, but also to get the feedback, core practice 6, from Helena to say, yes, this is really going to work. Yes, we need a vetted database. Yes, I think that I have another link to this. There are tons of links within this document, so maybe you could just share some thoughts that you had as you're going through this, Helena.
I'm the one that typed yes. Could you tell that it was me that typed? I don't know, but I'm the one that typed yes, 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 yes with the caps. You know, we all work so hard, and we all reinvent the wheel. You know, and when I work with FLES teachers, everybody has a very hungry caterpillar unit. You know, and we all just kill ourselves with this work, and if there could only be a way that we could share, it would be so powerful. I'm thinking just, you know, in one of the lists it was talking about ideas for that find your partner, and that somebody had not find your partner, partners around the clock. Somebody had other ideas, you know, all those creative ideas that we don't think about, that other people, you know, that go through other people's brains. Just establishing some kind of a way to share is so powerful. I've been thinking about what am I going to do as my next step, and you are now giving me courage, because I have one YouTube PowerPoint. It's on checking for understanding. So if you would Google that, you'd find it. And actually, I was so scared to do it, and I did a good job. It's good. And so I'm thinking I want to do more of this. Like, I know it's not classroom, okay? It's not classroom footage, but I would like to do like a PowerPoint explaining much more than what I did. I just did this brief overview and put it up there so that teachers could say, oh, here's this, 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 this. Is that okay? Would that be at least a step? It's not showing it in the classroom, but would you be okay with that?
I think that would be great. I just think I was just typing amen to you in the chat, because I feel like, you know, Christy's back in Tennessee trying to work with 100 teachers. Corey's off in Connecticut. Everybody's off and we all only have 24 hours. And unfortunately, we have to sleep. It's really quite a limitation that we have. But I think that the more we can do to start saying, let's get a database, let's pull this together. I mean, we never could have done this learning had you not taken all this time to work with me and set up everything on GoToMeeting. I mean, this has been a great afternoon of learning that we would have had to wait till next fall.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the credit, but you take some too. You've been really amazing. And all of us that are here together, I mean, we are amazing. Yes, exactly. We all have that same passion.
Right.
And so who knows, maybe the LILL project could find a website where we could share things. Yes, Pinterest is wonderful, but it's not Word documents.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Word documents that people could actually use and download,
right.
Or JPEGs or whatever that.
And one of the things that will become available soon is Necessful is putting together a whole database based on resources for everybody in every state.
Okay.
So that will be.
I can break in for a second. So I've been able to start using Pinterest to share my documents. So in my school district, we all use a Google platform and share Google documents like we're typing in today.
Okay.
And when I want to pin my stuff to Pinterest, so I can actually put a link in here. I'll just put it at the very end of the agenda, I guess. What I do is, have you heard of Snagit before?
Well, maybe Pinterest is the place.
Yeah, so you have to.
What's Snagit?
There's one thing you have to know how to do. Snagit allows you to capture images.
Excuse me for one second, Erin.
Um,
Can you hear me, Erin?
sure.
I think somebody just unplugged their earbuds, so we're hearing Erin talk. There's an echo. I can hear myself twice. Do you guys hear that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Erin, keep going. I just did somebody.
Okay, so
I'll plug
I'm
mine back in.
typing this. Oh darn it, it's still echoing.
It's still echoing.
I'm typing this in number 23 on your agenda. So you can share Google documents since they have links, just like this document that you shared today, Leah.
Yep. Now there's no echo.
So
Perfect.
great. So you can share Google documents. So it'll take me a couple minutes, but I can pull up some examples of stuff on Pinterest. So if you want to search for me on Pinterest right now, it's pinterest.com/pages/eParastalia, I believe. So what you have to do is use something like
Erin,
Snagit
I'm
where
going to
you can
make you the
capture
presenter.
images. Oh, great. Okay.
Okay. So
do I have to do something?
you're just going to accept my message. Here you are. And that way. Okay.
You know what? I'm using a Chromebook.
Oh, if it doesn't work, then I'll just.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought we'll look at it on the link that you post afterwards then.
Oh wait, you know what? Add extension. This might make it easier. I was searching for a way to add an app or something before. Share. Can I do it, please?
While you're doing that for a second, I just want to address that Lucas Hoffman came on as well. He's the president of OFLA, and he is another LIL member. So he's been doing a lot of projects in Ohio as well. So Lucas, I'm happy you got to come on. I know you got on a little bit late, so I'm happy you got to catch Helena's presentation.
Leah, I think it worked.
It worked? Okay, great. So then we should see your screen in a second.
Okay.
Okay, we see your screen now.
Great. So Pinterest, oh, I guess it's just pinterest.com/eParastalia. So if I want to share something, see right here on my screen, it's got this little blue S thing. It's called TechSmith Snagit, and so it's an app. I use Google Chrome. If you use Google Chrome and you search for this, Snagit, you can download this and it'll allow you to capture images, and that's really important for posting stuff to Pinterest. So every time I log in to use Chrome, it still has all of my bookmarks and everything, and these little extensions show up every single time. So no matter what computer I'm using, I always have access to this. So once you've downloaded this thing, say I want to post this presentation that's got a picture of Shakira on it. If I wanted to share this with people on Pinterest, then what I do is I click on my little Snagit button, I click region, and it allows me to select the image that I want to share.
Okay.
I click my little blue button. Can you still see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. And when this thing turns blue in a second, it's going to allow me to download that picture. And once I've got this picture on my computer, there we go. Okay, download. So I just save it as, I don't know, Shakira or whatever. So now I've got that. When I go to Pinterest, it'll allow me, if I click on my little, you have to have a Pinterest account in order to upload pins, but I click on the little plus button and it'll allow me to upload a pin, which allows me to choose an image from my computer. So I have to upload the image itself. So Shakira. But the second part is then I have to actually, let's see, so Shakira, I'm going to serve it, I'm going to stick it on my Lil board. So I'm going to click see it now. So this, of course, is a little bit complicated, but once you've done it a couple times, it's pretty easy. It allows me to paste in the website. So then I can paste in the link just like you did in your email to share this document. So on Google, It allows you to get the link to share it. I click share. I'm going to copy that link, and now I can stick that link in as well.
Well, you know, this is a great tool for us to be able to build a platform and be able to share resources. In the interest of time, I'm going to switch back over and show my screen as a presenter, just because I want to have Helena do some closing comments. But I think you're getting at something that's really key, because Christy's plan for Lil is to do something called NADSFL Cafe. And she'd like to continue this learning with all of the NADSFL, the National Association of Supervisors for Foreign Languages. And so I asked her to be on this call because I thought this could generate some ideas for her. So I think you're giving her some ideas with regards to maybe a Pinterest platform. I think Helena's given us ideas with regard to how to organize these strategies. I really specifically like having one Google Doc where we're all able to collaborate. I played with the idea of doing 3 Google Docs because I was afraid it would get messy and people would get intimidated. But I think one Google Doc was the way to go, because everybody was seeing things communally, as opposed to Helena and I were talking about different levels for proficiency. But at the end of our conversation, it really became clear, once you can do it for novice, you can do it for all 3 levels. So that made a lot of sense.
If you don't mind, I tried to show some examples of that.
Yes.
Okay, that, you know, the interview can be very advanced. Any of those ideas that look so simple, even hiding the teddy bear, could be done.
Yeah.
At the advanced level, depending on where you hide that bear.
Yep. I'm going to switch. So the screen is going to come back to me. And you can see that was, okay. So I'm showing my screen here. And I know that many of you are still adding to this Google Doc. And you see it's quite extensive. So if everybody could take a little bit of time to go back and revisit that, maybe tomorrow, or add some ideas to Twitter to share out, that would be great. As well. Helena, were there any ideas that you wanted to close with that you saw within the Google Doc that you wanted to just bring up?
Well, I started out with the sharing, and I think that got us going on the topic of finding a platform. And thank you for suggesting Pinterest. It's where everybody goes anyway. Yeah. So can you upload JPEGs too without using Snagit? No, that's okay.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
you can.
Okay.
You just need
so,
to. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to thank everyone for this opportunity to share ideas, and because we all have a piece of the information, we all have a piece of the picture. Everything, you know, that I shared with you, I know that you are doing in some way or another, and I'm honored that you invited me to be part of this. I just think that number 1 is target language, and number 2 is getting kids talking to each other. And it can be as simply as that idea of just tell your partner good morning, repeating what the teacher said. I just think that is just so important. And I guess maybe the third point is that even at the novice level, one of the dangers is staying at the word level. And they can use sentences and chunks and combining sentences even at the very low novice level if we model it for them. And we can create interviews and surveys where they're talking with each other and they're finding information that they really need and they really want. So it's really fun to talk about this topic. So thank you very much for letting me participate, and I enjoyed it so much.
Well, we enjoy having you, Helena, that's for sure. I'm gonna, we were supposed to just take a couple minutes. I don't know if Matt Mangino's on the line. Are you still here, Matt?
I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Yeah. So I'm going to pull you in and say we have 4 big things coming up. So if somebody wants to write an article for the CTLILL newsletter, I think that would be great. I think sharing newsletter articles between states, I think that would be great, because once Christy writes something about Lil for Tennessee, if I can co-opt that and be able to share some of those ideas for the CTLILL newsletter, I think that would be great. So I thought that I'd just mention that maybe we could even help each other when it comes to not reinventing the wheel, even for basic things like we all have a state newsletter. I know Lucas is on the line. He's the head of OFLA. Erin will become the president for Michigan. And so we have a lot of people who are facing the same challenges. we have CTLILL. Our next meeting is January 6th. Any and all of you are more than welcome to return. I already have you in. If you got this link, I put a group together, so you will get the link to the upcoming meetings. And our next 2 meetings are also virtual. And then the Seal of Biliteracy, we're trying to catch up with some of those other states who are ahead of us. We'll be meeting on January 5th. And Matt, if you could just briefly just share what LangCamp is. I think that is another fun, free, and open unconference.
Sure. So there's a group of 4 teachers who represent, different languages, Spanish, French, and 2 Latin teachers. We're getting together to invite folks to Weathersfield High School on Saturday, April 9th, 2016, to attend like an ed camp, but that an ed camp that's dedicated specifically to world language teachers. And just briefly, the ed camp model, essentially teachers get together in the morning and create a board, and sometimes the board create a schedule board, and sometimes teachers are invited to either present on a topic or to attend any session that they're interested in. So sometimes you're an expert on the topic, and sometimes you go in sort of an exploratory capacity. So free to register, and we hope lots of people will come out.
Thank you so much. I think that will be really exciting. So I know that Helena's off to her next meeting. I with great gratitude, thank you. And my grandmother always told me, please don't do anything for the first time, because it never works out. And so this was the first time, and it worked out.
Well, my PowerPoint kept going in and out, but other than that, it went okay.
It was great. So okay. Yasuo is saying thank you from Florida. We have people making all kinds of comments in the chat box, but with great gratitude, thank you very much. And I will see you January 6th virtually for any of you who are free.
Just want to thank Leah one more time. Leah, you were beyond awesome. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye everyone. Great to see you.
Bye,
Thank you.